Well, what a last away game.
Yeah.
I mean, that must have made the journey home more enjoyable.
It certainly did. I think there's no better way to win a game of football right at the death. We knew it was going to be a tough game, and it was. Great little stadium. I haven't been there for a long time. Lovely. Probably the best ground we played at this season, I think. Great atmosphere. It was obviously Bristol's last game. There was a good attendance, and I thought the team showed some, true spirit and resilience. I said after the game, really unfortunate the way we conceded the first goal, but I was really proud of Mary in terms of how she managed to steady herself and then go on and perform for the rest of the game, because that was really early on, and we spoke about it afterwards actually, and kind of related it back to our kickboxing in terms of, if you take a blow early on in a fight, then you kind of can't give up. You've got to learn to fight back, and she certainly did that on Sunday. So yeah, I was delighted with the whole team performance.
What sparked the fight back, if you like, because you did it 3 weeks ago, but just fell short. As you said last week, if you'd had a few more minutes, you might well have gone on and got something from the game. But it must be frustrating for you that you're having to put yourself in that position. Yeah,
I thought there was, throughout the team, there was high performance levels in terms of our defensive structure. I think we worked really hard to keep them out. Players stepped up in certain moments. Defenders stepped up when they needed to. Demi stepped up and made some big saves when she needed to. And I think consistently across the board, we probably haven't done that throughout the whole season. But on Sunday, it just kind of clicked for where the stars aligned, and we scored at a really good time just before half time. It was a great move. I know you've probably only seen the highlights, but if you go back to when we first started with the ball, there was some really good patterns of play. We got in how we wanted to get in terms of how we were set up in terms of the game plan, and it was a really good cross from Mary and an excellent finish from Ellen at the back post. And we went into half time with our tails up, and we really thought we had more to give in the second half, and we did.
Well, Ellen's been nominated for Championship Goal of the Month, so fingers crossed that might come good as well going into the last game, which is a great way to build yourselves up for the final match at home.
Yeah, we want to try and replicate some of the good stuff that we've seen against Bristol. We haven't been goal shy, which has been good. We've scored 6 goals in the last 2 games. We know it's obviously be a difficult game for Sheffield, obviously them being relegated last weekend. So, we want to kind of really wrap the season up on a high and, go out with a good win on Sunday.
I mean, you say difficult game for Sheffield. It could equally be a difficult game for you because you only have to look back at games against Portsmouth and some of those struggling teams actually have given you problems.
Yeah, and that's what I say when I'm talking about the performance levels. The players know what level they reached on Sunday, and internally they have to find that on Sunday to reach it again. And if we can't reach it, we're underperforming, and that sometimes can be really frustrating as a coach because it's in there, but ultimately you've got to kind of bring it. So it's something that we spoke about in terms of the reflection of the weekend. It's been a real feel good this week in terms of getting the win and how we won. Particularly like the winning goal was again a really good moment for us. A great run by Marissa, and I said to Katie, at what point were you going to pass to Marissa, and what point did you decide to keep a hold of the ball, because it was a split second kind of decision, and she made a decision to stay on it, and it was a great kind of Katie Watson special really across the goalkeeper. So they're the kind of levels we want to see on Sunday.
Is it slightly frustrating that the season's coming to an end? Just as when we talked about having had that quite long break, and now you just got back into a rhythm and got back momentum. You had a very, very good away win. You probably like the season to go on a few more weeks.
Potentially, I think the players are ready. I think it has been a long season. We just, like you say, we don't want to let it fizzle out with the last game. We want to go away with that feel-good factor and come back in at the pre-season, ready to have another good go.
How do you reflect on the season overall? I mean, what would be the low points at the beginning when it was that must have been a worry? I think looking back now, was that a real concern to you, that start?
Yeah, the start was frustrating off the back of probably a good pre-season in terms of the results and the performances that we've seen. We certainly weren't kind of expecting that. But then kind of the resilience the squad shown. I think we went 7 games unbeaten and picked up some really good form before Christmas. And obviously then the injury to Eleanor, the centre forward, was a low point in terms of didn't get the same returns from others, and it's been probably a bit of a roller coaster towards the end. We've won, we've lost, we've won, and a good FA Cup run. That's been a real positive. And yeah, there's always good moments and moments where it's not been so good, but that's part of being a football manager, I suppose, and part of the journey of being a footballer. So we want more good moments going into next season.
Is there anything you take specifically from the season as a learning curve as a coach? Do you look back and think, actually, I've actually come out of this season now, and that was a big eye opener for you, or anything?
Not at this moment in time, no. I think you learn more about your players as you go, in terms of how to get the best out of them and what makes them tick a little bit more. And sometimes they need pushed harder. Sometimes they need you to be firmer with them. And as the game professionalises, I have to keep reminding them, this is your job, this is your career, these are the standards we need you to be consistent. We know not everyone's going to be consistent every single week, because that's the perfect footballer, but we strive for it, and if we can get players being more consistent, then ultimately we're going to get more consistent results.
When you talk about that professionalism, in a way, do you feel like you're in a bit of a straitjacket because only one team gets promoted, and that, as the season goes on, you must surely reach a point where you think, well, actually we're not going to be that team, and you've got to find that motivation. Yeah,
I think obviously the season leading up to Christmas, we were in the race, we were close, but I think that when you start tailing away from the top, it then becomes difficult, because players can become disheartened and realise maybe they're not in a race and they wanted to be in the race. So maybe that has a negative effect on performances as well, because they realise that they're not in contention. But it's such a tough league, and especially this season with the 2 less games that we've played, unlike the men's season when they've got maybe 48 games to maybe be a little bit more persistent with things and give people more of a run. With 20-game season, before you know it, you're at the halfway point, and sometimes you've got to be ruthless in your decision making.
So what next? I mean, presumably everyone's going to go off on holiday after the game on Sunday, but I mean, what is your timetable then? Because it's quite a long pre-season again, it really, isn't it? I mean, it's that long space of time. We've
got obviously the game at the weekend. The whole team will attend the club event. The awards do on the Sunday night. Then the players have 2 weeks off, fully 2 weeks, total rest, and then they kind of slowly start ticking away. They've had that chat, they've had the kind of presentation in terms of what their off-season looks like, and you, as an athlete, as a full-time athlete, you cannot have any more time off than that, because you just become too far gone, I suppose, and there's work to be done ticking over in the background for them physically, and then they'll report back on the 1st of July, and then we'll go into a pre-season which is kind of already been planned. We've got some pre-season friendlies booked in already. It sounds strange talking about it, but it's just relentless, and for me and Steph, it's the recruitment wheel. We take our coaching hats off and get on the recruitment hunt and look for some players who can come in and be good additions to the squad.
Talking of players, this season you lost Kira Ramshaw with injury. Grace McCarthy came back, and now I think there's going to be another departure.
Yeah, so Megan Beer will play her last game on Sunday for the club. It's someone who's given 11 years service to the football club. What an unbelievable person. I've actually coached her for 18 years. Had her as a 14-year-old and kind of seen her come through all kind of phases of her life and her career. She's an unbelievable person, someone who's juggled this season with being a firefighter, and everyone in the squad and in the staff has huge admiration for her in terms of what she's juggling. I think a highlight this season for me, for Megan, would be she came off a night shift when we played Sheffield away at Bramall Lane, and she man-marked kind of Maria Ferrugia out the game for that 90 minutes, and she's probably not played as much as what she would have wanted, but her contribution to the squad cannot go unnoticed. She's a true professional, and it'll be a huge miss, but we've already kind of had the conversation that what she's given to the club has been phenomenal, and we wish her all the best. And she'll be one of the Sunderland ultras travelling to all the away games next season.
I mean, because Grace has come back in, and I know she hasn't had a huge amount of game time, but she was telling me she's become sort of in inverted commas managerial sort of on that side of things.
Yeah.
Is that a way in? Is Megan, has she closed the door on it entirely, being involved?
No. She just needs to find a niche in terms of how she can maybe stay involved. Kira Ramshaw, she didn't enjoy the coaching side of the game. Obviously, we've got a huge pathway underneath, which there's loads of opportunities to be a coach. So Kira comes in twice a week and she does the sports massage. So the players queue up every week to see Kira, and she's at all our home games. She'll be there on Sunday. So keeping players who've traditionally been at this football club when it wasn't professional, for me personally, I think so important. The tradition of where this club's been and where it's going to, having Meg Beer, Grace McCarthy, Kira Ramshaw still in around to tell them stories is really important for the youngsters. Obviously we've got a big game at the stadium, and it's a nice way to bow out. I think we have enjoyed playing there, and I think I've said previously that that's the way the game's going now. And for someone like Marissa, who's new to the club, hasn't played there yet, so it's exciting. And we've got Jessie Stapleton, Kira Flannery, who've been on loan from West Ham. Their last games for the club as well. So there's plenty to celebrate, and we want to make sure we finish the season in style.
Unlike me. Thank you.
Would you reflect on this as a season of progress, Mel? Because from the outside, you look at it and say that you'll finish lower than you did last season, but the division has got so much stronger when you look at London City, Birmingham. How do you kind of reflect on it now?
Yeah, I think it's frustrating sometimes that we've maybe not finished as high as what we did last season, I think, but like you say, there's lots of contributing factors for that. I think sustaining ourselves as a good championship team is really important, and it gives us a good platform to kind of build on as we go into next season.
The last couple of summers, 2 years ago, a lot of change. Last summer, not quite so much. What do you think about this summer? How is it kind of looking? Obviously, a lot can change quickly in football, but how are you kind of heading into this summer? What do you expect?
Yeah, I think that there will be some good additions. We're probably looking at about five new recruits in terms of to strengthen the team. But we'll see as the off season progresses. We'll see what we need further down the line. But kind of them conversations behind the scenes have already started to happen.
When we spoke this time last year, you had a lot of confidence in the fact that contractually the club was in a really good place with its players. Is that the same this year, or are you anticipating you might lose some players, potentially some key players?
Yeah, I think we're in a good place, to be honest. I think it's always down to the players whether they accept new offers on the table. They've all played their part this season. So I don't see a massive upheaval in the squad in the summer, to be fair.
And I just wanted to reflect in terms of one of the big positives this season has been the younger players. I know Libby McInnes has been around for a while, but obviously she's played so many more minutes. Mary Corbin, you talked about. How pleased are you with that? And what about the next generation? Are there players who you think next season are knocking on the door to not necessarily be a regular maybe, but to start training you more to become part of that group?
Yeah, I think traditionally we are a club that gives young players a chance. I think nationally we're probably known for that. Delighted for someone like Mary Corbin whose football age is probably really low in terms of where she's at now. She's not been in the game a long time. She's certainly not been playing football since she was 8-year-old in a pathway where it's been structured and she's been coached. So for her to catch up the group as quickly as she has done is a credit to her. I'm delighted with Peggy. I think she has played a big contribution this year. I think she's stepped up. We've had some really good conversations with Peggy as we've progressed and really tried to hone in on certain things that we wanted her to do, and she's really took that on board and stepped up to the challenge. So delighted for Peggy. I think the next one is probably, and we know about her, is obviously Emily Cassip. Emily's had a bit of a different season in the fact that she's trained full time with the first team all season. but has been regularly playing for Courtney on a Wednesday. So, you know, she turns 18 in June, I think it is, May or June, don't quote us on that. But she turns 18 very soon, so, you know, she'll be the next one who kind of transitions from education into full-time football.
And one of the other big positives of the season is the stadium games. The attendance has been much better, the atmosphere has been much better. It's something that the club is starting to build. Hopefully, kind of Sunday will be a nice way to underline that going into the summer. Yeah,
and hopefully the fans come out and support the team. I think it's going to be a nice weekend. It'll be nice to play in front of, you know, a few thousand people to finish the season off and to wrap it up. And it gives the club a good steer in terms of how we need to you know, prepare for the games next season, because I'm sure there'll be a few more games probably at the stadium as well, and, you know, see how we can really grow the attendances to get behind the lasses.